Hi, everyone. Want to let you know you're coming to the right place with Operation Parent and Dr. Crystal Coyer this afternoon. We could not be more happy that you're here with us. As your host, my name is Michelle Massey with Operation Parent. I'm going to take a second and walk you through our features on GoTo here in just a little bit, as well as get you introduced to our next upcoming webinar. So as you're with us today, you are going to receive a recording of the webinar, certificate of attendance, as well as a link to the survey. So all those things are going to come to you automatically, and just be patient with us and let us get all that stuff processed and out to you. Our next webinar is with Dr. Danielle Dick from Rutgers University. She's going to talk to us about what to look for if you're concerned or you want to know more of just what might put a child more at risk for addiction. So that's going to happen on March 26th. It's a Tuesday, same time and place. And I'd love for you to take a couple minutes and scan the QR code and go ahead and register for that next webinar if you are passionate about prevention and substance use. Operation Parent, I want you to know that we are a 501c3 organization, and our mission is to love and support parents by providing real-world information, connection, and most importantly, hope. I'm going to take just 1 second and let you guys learn more about how to participate today. So you're going to see an orange arrow in the top corner of your screen if you're on a desktop. You can tap on that arrow and open up your full control panel. So you're going to see a question section there. So just know that all attendees today are going to be on mute, but you can submit your question and know that that is going to come privately to Amanda and I. Any questions or comments that come in will remain private, and they will come through that question panel. Outs for you today. And so I want you to know you've got a PDF of the slides. You have a coloring page with Neuro, who is the star of the show today, as one of your handouts that you can use with elementary age kiddos. You have something that looks quizzes for parenting styles, as well as handouts that look at your identifying your attachment preference. And so all of those handouts are here in the system, and you can just press on them and download them while you're live with us. You've also received an email yesterday with those handouts included as well. And so if you're not at a position that you can download while you're with us live, you can go back to the email that you registered with and grab the handouts in that location. But you definitely should be covered with those two options to get the additional supplemental material that we put together for you today. So stay until the end of our webinar today. You're going to have a chance to win both Dr. Crystal Coyer's new book, Know Your Neuro, and learn more about our superhero today, Neuro, and an Operation Parent Elementary Parent Handbook. Dr. Coyer is a longtime friend of Operation Parent, and I'm really excited for you to spend some time with her this afternoon. She's a therapist, a blazing educator. She spends a lot of her time in the classroom with students, teaching them how to protect their brain. She works as a counselor with adolescents and adults. She's an expert on behavioral problems, substance use disorders, and she's been doing the work for well over 30 years. So you're going to be so delighted that you joined us today. And it's my pleasure to turn the webinar over to Dr. Crystal Coyer.
All right. Thank you so much, Michelle. I really appreciate you guys.
We're thrilled that you're back.
Oh,
Thanks
thank you very much for having me back. And it's really a fun topic as well. So since my kids' books are out, um, Know Your Neuro Adventures of a Growing Brain. I've got the K through 2 version and the 3 through 5 version. I just spent a year at a local elementary school here in Houston, Texas, piloting the videos that are available on knowyourneuro.org and all the scripts that are in the book. And I have a fantastic graphic artist. Her name is Rachel, and she is really talented at putting neuro into a beautiful graphic form. So, okay, let's jump in to what we're going to be doing today. Oh, there we go, K through 2 and the 3 through 5. And there's a picture of me and the kiddos that we did with this. I took the scripts and I went frame by frame with kindergartners all the way up to 5th grade to figure out how to make it developmentally appropriate. And I had a couple people on my team as well that helped me make sure that the wording was appropriate for every grade, and the kids are so responsive to it. They really, really enjoy it and love it. And of course, my parent guide, the Neuro Whereabouts Guide. Remember that I spent 4 years doing the research on the neurodevelopmental effects of risky behavior to kids. We have it in Spanish as well. Those are all available on Amazon, and I read it out loud, so it is available on Audible, which is important to me because I'm a listener, less of a reader today. And so here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the brain as always. I want to make sure that we talk about the specific risky behavior that crop up when kids are young and understand what we can do about it and how to handle any problems. So if you have questions about prevention, if you have questions about specific behavioral issues that you're seeing, please feel free to pop those questions into the chat. Now, I want to take you on an adventure with Neuro, Adventures of a Growing Brain. Don't you love this? Here is Neuro reading about himself, right, or herself. And so there's the two books. And so this is how I want you to teach your kids. And so starting when your kids are in kindergarten, asking them if your brain were a superhero, what would your brain's name be? I've heard the funniest nicknames for kids' brains. It's really, really cute. People are like, oh, bubblegum, or kids will be like, Tom, my brain's name is Tom. You're like, okay, Tom, thank you, right? Very concrete thinkers, but that's okay. What we want kids to do is fall in love with their brain so they will learn how to protect it. And of course, I've got some coloring pages for the kids that you guys can download to start this process with them. And there actually is going to be a coloring book along the way as we go. If you would like to get on my email list to see when each one comes out, there's a series of 10 books. The first one obviously is Know Your Neuro. The next book will be coming out in probably about a month and a half, called Neuro Makes Good Choices. And then we have Neuro Sets Boundaries, Neuro Says No, Neuro Feels Feelings, Neuro Accepts Their Body. All of the skills that we need to teach our kids younger and younger and younger in a really cool, fun way to do it. Okay, so here's how I want you to teach them about their brain. One of my favorite brain researchers, Dr. Lawrence Steinberg, said that kids have a well-developed accelerator, but only a partly developed brake. So if kids don't understand cars, that's the first thing to do, is to say, do you know what an accelerator is? An accelerator is the pedal that mommy pushes to make the car go. And our brain has a fully developed accelerator by the time we are 11 or 12 years old. Where is the accelerator? As you can see, it's deep inside the brain in a part of the brain known as the limbic system. So I always say limbic system 3 times fast. And kids are going, limbic system, blah, 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 right? Really fun. All we need kids to know is that this is the accelerator. And as a parent, you can say things like, whoa, your accelerator is going so fast today. Wow, that's pretty amazing. Can you turn on your brake or press the brake pedal? Now the brake, where is it in the brain? It's right behind the forehead, about halfway up the skull, in the part of the brain that we know and love as our frontal lobes. What kids need to know about their brakes is that that's the part of the brain that says, hold on a second, slow down. Nope. The part that has self-control. Now, of course, as kids get older, we call it impulse control, but accelerator and the brakes. So that's how we want to teach kids about the two parts of their brain. And here is what you need to know. Here is what we teach kids as they grow and develop, that there are two major stages of brain development. The first one from birth all the way up to about puberty, when we grow this big chunk of clay in our brain. Now, this is one day going to be our adult masterpiece. But right now, all the way up to about puberty, we grow about 200 billion neurons. That's a lot of brain cells. Then puberty kicks in and we start carving and sculpting our brain into what will be our adult masterpiece by the time we're 25, ending up with about 100 billion neurons left over. I remember when I was sitting in class listening to my professor talk about this, and I thought to myself, this seems like a really big waste of some perfectly good brain cells. I really don't get it. Help me understand this. And so what I learned is that the brain cleans space, gets rid of a lot of neurons that we're not using to make room for more connectors. So as you guys know, if you've seen me present before, I love these slides. This is a little baby infant neuron, and you can see those what looks like tree branches and tree roots. Those are called dendrites. And I always ask kids, say dendrites 3 times fast. Dendrites, dendrites, dendrites. That is your battle cry, because dendrites are literally the hardware of learning. Every time you learn something new or practice something, you grow more dendrites that reach out to other cells, making long chains of connections. So this study shows an infant's brain cells all the way up to age 2. Wow. By the time you're 25, every neuron in your brain is connected to 10,000 other neurons. Now, of course, those long networks for all the skills that you're growing have to fit inside your skull. And they literally squish down and make those funky wrinkles and grooves in our brain. We actually have a really smooth surface of a brain when we're little, and we get these wonderful wrinkles, good wrinkles, right, that we want more of as we grow and develop. Now, of course, all of this thickening of the dendrites is happening right behind the forehead, about halfway up the skull, as shown in this slide that you'll see in my parent guide all over. It's really important to teach kids that their brake is not fully developed until around 25. However, it is governed by the use it or lose it rule, the brain's rule. The brain actually has a rule: use it or lose it. You can see Neuro here working really, really, really hard. And this is what we teach the kids in the Know Your Neuro series, is that we want to learn how to make good decisions, how to set boundaries, how to say no, how to feel your feelings, how to accept your body image, how to practice more self-control. The more you use it, the stronger it is. You want to use a lot of brain-based praise for frontal lobe skills. And of course, here they are. Now remember, your frontal lobe is the CEO of your brain and body, because it does what scientists call executive functioning skills. These are your basic thinking, feeling, and doing skills. On the left, those are the ones that grow during that first phase of development. And then as kids grow and develop up to 25, those higher level skills come online. Now there's tons of overlap here, and each kid is different. Some kids struggle with one and not the other, and another kid might be completely different. But remember, all of these grow based upon the brain's rule. We want to teach kids that. And so to be able to say, do you want to be good at saying no? Do you want to be good at setting boundaries and protecting yourself? Then we need to practice those skills And the Know Your Neuro Kids series really teaches them how to do that. But this is the first step. This is the first book, is to teach kids about their brain, the brake, the accelerator, and the brain's rule. We also, as they grow and develop, want to teach them each one of these skills and reward them for using it. Okay, so that is all about the executive functioning of the frontal lobe. Now let's launch into what we're really going to talk about today, which is, okay, what are the things that can hurt that brain development as our kids are growing and developing younger and younger and younger? We see high risk behavior is showing up. So what you're going to see in this section is in the chapter 3 of my book, which is the elementary school chapter of the Neuro Whereabouts Guide. What I did in each of the age group chapters, elementary, middle, and high school, the first half is a setup for success. The second half is what behaviors come online, what's a graph that shows you when they come, and what do I need to teach my kid about that, especially in these ages. So as you can see by this list, this is scary. Kids younger and younger and younger are being exposed, and it's primarily because of our screens. Access to the World Wide Web should happen later and later and later. So we'll talk about how to make sure that happens. But what we're going to focus on is empowering you as a parent. What can you do to set your child up for success? What are the best parenting practices that we can learn about and create? So here's a short list of the things that we're going to go through today. And if you have questions about them, please feel free to pop them in the chat. Okay, first and foremost, I want you to learn about what secure attachment looks like. So in my book, I have a chart for this. We also have a handout for you about it too that shows you the 4 types of attachment styles. You may see literature out there that names a few of them a little bit different, but I tried to put a good summary of them here. When we have secure attachment, we have a parent who has provided consistency for us. And the kids who show up with a secure attachment, they look like this. They explore, they're happy, they know their trusts are going to get met, they are content and engaged. When secure attached kid and mom or dad go to the park, secure attached kid, they're gone. They're running, they're playing. They turn around not to see where parent is, or if parent's there, but to see where they are so they can go back for their juice box, right? That's what we're looking at. Now, kids who grow up with inconsistent parenting practices for lots of different reasons, they may look anxious, insecure, angry. They can't rely on their needs to be consistently met. They might be really, really slow to warm up. Now, I am a recovering insecure attached kid myself. And so what I do know about healthy adult attachment is that we can grow dendrites for having secure attached relationships and heal our attachment wounds. And our parents can also look and see, okay, what did I do? What did I do wrong? What did I do right? And actually start to repair some of those too as we move into our adult relationships with parents. Anxious or ambivalent attached kid and mom or dad go to the park, they stay really close to their parents. They don't explore as much because they have to be really attached to their parent, who is their survival person. And they're not really sure if those needs are always going to get met. So they stay pretty close. So does the avoidant kid. When avoidant kid and parent go to the park, they stay pretty close to the parent with their back turned away from them, because they have experienced a parent that has been inconsistent, but potentially also abusive or emotionally unavailable in some sort of a neglectful way. Now, please remember, all of us, even good parents, have bad days like this before. But the key word is consistent. And an avoidant attached kid, they don't really explore as much, but they may keep their emotional distance because they don't trust. They may feel very quiet or withdrawn, or it can look the opposite. They may act out to get negative types of attention. Now, the most unfortunate attachment style out there is our disorganized attached kid. And disorganized attached kids and parents, they don't go to the park at all. They have experienced some pretty neglectful or abusive childhoods, family situations, and they look pretty depressed or passive or angry, non-responsive. They may be very oppositional or have great difficulty making friends. Attachment forms really within just the first few years of life. And here's what it looks like once we move into adulthood. No matter what our attachment style was when we were a kid, we can grow and change it, remember. But for the most part, secure attached people, adults, they feel okay and they feel like everybody else is okay. They're pretty comfortable with intimacy and interdependent relationships. Anxious or ambivalent attached kids, they don't feel like they're okay, but they think everybody else is. I remember feeling like every room I walked into, I was always in a one down position. Everybody else was better than me or knew more than me, and I had to prove my worth. And so I would either get overly involved and smother people, becoming dependent, wanting a lot, very clingy, or get very emotionally hurt quite a bit. Now, our avoidant attached kiddo, as an adult, they think they're okay, but not everybody else is really okay. And so they're in relationships very surfacely, independent. They may be even uncomfortable with intimacy or become very dismissive. Now, please remember, we can also have a combination of these, and we may show up with a different attachment style for different people who trigger different attachment triggers within us. And so I can spot an avoidant from across the room, and I'll probably go chasing after them for validation. Although today I realize when my body wants to do that, not a healthy trigger, but it's a network in my brain that was formed a long time ago that I have been working on rewiring for many years. Now, our disorganized attached kiddo grows up feeling like they're not okay and no one else is okay as an adult. Now, they may need a lot of approval or really fear intimacy, but sometimes what we hear is that they really feel like relationships are painful. I have worked as an adult therapist with many adults who were disorganized, attached kids, and have seen them learn how to look for, cultivate, and create secure attachments. So I want you to hear it can be done. Now, as a parent, I want you to remember that there are lots of ways to show up as a securely attached parent. And so this chart on both pages that you'll see is, and you'll be getting these slides, so you don't have to worry about copying these down, but this is what it looks like in communication with other people, how people who have different attachment styles show up in conflict behavior, maintenance behavior, emotional expression, how they self-disclose, what their nonverbals look like and feel like, and what their social skills. This is something that we want to teach our kids how to do, and we want us to create more of this type of communication with our kids. So how can you show up in your daily communication as a securely attached parent, creating a secure attachment style with your kiddo, as well as all your other relationships out there? Okay, how do we do that? There are two processes that I want you to hear about. Now, I couldn't do it here, but I want you guys to, at some point, pause this video if you're watching it again. And if you're watching live right now, I want you to later go online and see a video called Still Face by Dr. Edward Tronick. This experiment he's been doing it out of Harvard for many years, quite a few decades, and I actually put a graphic depiction of it in the elementary school chapter. National Institute of Health talks about this study. What you're going to see when you see this still face video is a mom and a child securely attached, attuning to each other. And then what you see is Dr. Tronick asks the mom to stop emotional expression. She doesn't abandon her child. She doesn't leave the room. She just goes still face and stops interacting with her child. and you see her child completely dysregulate. What Dr. Tronick has found is that kids as young as 3 months old adopt a style of coping. They may completely dysregulate, they may dissociate, turn away, shut down, and that starts to become a way of coping, a network of cells that gets created in the brain as we grow and develop. So as you watch that video, I want you to think about your early relationships with caregivers and how much you were still faced or how much you were attuned to. So let's talk about this process of attunement. You might think of a piano, tuning a piano, but this is tuning into another human central nervous system. So I want to read Dr. Dan Siegel's definition of attunement because it's my favorite. He says that when we attune with others, we allow our own internal state to shift, to come to resonate with the inner world of another. This resonance is at the heart of the important sense of feeling felt that emerges in close relationships. Children need attunement to feel secure and to develop well. And throughout our lives, we need attunement to feel close and connected. When I'm sitting and watching a show with my husband and I can feel him look at his cell phone, it immediately makes me feel disconnected from him, even though he's still sitting right there with me. It's kind of a form of going still face. And I see this as a therapist more and more and more. I had a family in my office, baby, mom, mom's father, so grandma, and then great grandma. And it was really interesting to watch as that child chose an adult to crawl to the most. And it was really great grandma, because great grandma did not have a phone. The other two people did. And every time the baby made some sort of a noise or pointed or did something, great grandma was right there to attune to that child. And so what is happening in our culture today? More and more screens, more and more still faces. So attunement and lack of attunement is happening. And here's how it's affecting us. The art of co-regulation. So in this still face video, what you'll see is a beautiful co-regulation between mom and child. Mom smiling, mom smiles back. Or sorry, baby smiles, mom smiles back. Baby grimaces, mom mirrors with those mirror neurons in her brain and grimaces back. Baby points, mom looks, even though mom knows nothing's really there. She's tuning in and they are co-regulating. If you hooked mom and baby up to a monitor, a heart rate monitor, an EEG monitor, you would see beautiful synchronized readings. And as soon as mom goes still face, remember, does not ignore her child, but goes still face, looking right at her child, baby dysregulates. Those synchronized readings become desynchronized. It's very uncomfortable for babies, kids, and adults because we don't know how to self-regulate until we first co-regulate. If you think about it, babies don't even know they're separate beings from us unless their emotional expression, their very essence, is mirrored in our face back to them. They don't know, they can't express their being, their thoughts, their theory of mind until their brain develops into that. So what we want to do is practice attuning and co-regulating. When a child is in a room, they are the most important thing in that space. What we want to do is always practice attuning to them and co-regulating with them until they're able to start self-regulating on their own. Then we can start backing away and allowing them to have those big feelings and learn how to self-soothe and calm them down. This is one of the reasons why crib training is really a dirty word in many early development circles, because kids need to feel us, they need to be on us, we need to be holding them as long as possible. We used to see in many cultures in Africa that kids used to be held and picked up and walked all over a town with their parents. And as parents stop doing that as much, you see more and more behavioral or mental health problems in kids because they don't get that feeling sense of being attached to someone else until they're ready to be interdependent or independent on their own. So in order to co-regulate, really attune into your child, to your partner, and be predictable, be consistent. Make sure that if there's a rupture, that you repair that rupture. Create what's called the reunion effect. This is something that I had to learn in my own relationship as an adult. My husband would walk into the room when he got home from work and he'd be like, hi, and I would barely look up from what I was doing. It's important that I look up, I walk over to him and be like, hey, oh my God, it's so good to see you. I haven't seen you all day. That is the reunion effect. Making sure that we tune into each other, spend time together. Let that person know they are the most important person in your life, especially if it's a kiddo. Then we go about our business together or separate, whatever that looks like. But consciously attune. And what I say here, do your own family of origin work. If you grew up in a family that didn't do this, please analyze how that affected you and do your foo work. So, okay. So another thing that you guys can do as kids grow older is practice the best parenting style possible. So here are Baumrein's 4 types of parenting styles. And I love this chart because it shows you the characteristics of the type of parent in adjectives that these styles emit. So the healthiest parenting style is called authoritative. It's the one on the top right. And it has high warmth, love, and high limits and discipline. Now, if we go over to the left-hand side, authoritarian parenting styles are high on discipline and limits, but lower on love. I'm talking about demonstrable love and warmth. And so we see that authoritarian parents are more about directions and structure. I always think about my grandfather. On his door, he had a plaque that says Commander in Chief. He was in the Marines, and all my mother and her brothers would line up in the morning for kind of roll call, and a lot of authoritarianism there. Now, to the bottom right quadrant is permissive parents. These are high on love and warmth, but low on limits. And as you can see, they don't set a whole lot of guidelines. They might be very indulgent or non-directive. A lot of parents, unfortunately, when we hear of free range parenting, we see a lot of permissive parenting happening there. Now, the least healthy style, of course, is your uninvolved or maybe even your neglectful parent. And this may happen with divorced families when parents move away from each other. Remember, attuning to a child is so critically important that even though we live separately, we want to make sure that we continue an attunement and a co-regulation response with our kiddos. Okay, so if we take a look at the parenting styles effects, the kids who grow up with authoritarian and permissive parenting have the highest rates of substance use, high school dropout rates, teenage pregnancy, the problems with behavior and mood. But here's the good news. If you're in a partnership with somebody who has an authoritarian style and you have more of a permissive style, if you guys can learn how to negotiate and compromise, you actually together make the perfect authoritative parent. So working on your parenting style, and if that means going to therapy, going to couples therapy and doing some work to figure out how to get on that same page, it may help to have a brain expert or a therapeutic expert teach your partner or both of you these particular styles so they can see the research that comes from it. One of the things that I see healthy authoritative parents do is they practice communicating from a T. T means team, and that means both parents talk to each other and then deliver the information to the child. If one parent unilaterally delivers the information, it can create triangulation. This is one of the most unhealthy parenting styles of communicating that we see. And here's why. Because if we have a parent who's always the bad guy, the authoritarian, we have another one who's always the rescuer, the good guy, that puts kids in the quadrant of being a victim, a blameless, unaccountable person who's always blaming one person for not protecting them and pointing the finger at the other for always being the mean one. What we want to make sure we do is always wait for each other. It's like, if kids ask dad, can I do this? Okay, well, let's talk about it with your mom. Sorry, kiddo, you're going to have to wait till I talk about it with your dad, because we parent from a team. We're a team, always being together. Now, not always is this practical, but being able to practice ahead of time so that you can anticipate what your partner might say. And even if your partner made a decision that you don't agree with, depending upon how egregious it is, try really hard to back them up and be a team and work on negotiating that together as your kids grow and develop. Okay, so let's talk about values development. It's important to remember that what we do a lot when kids are younger is we work on developing values. But part of the issue is that brain development doesn't completely come online to the point where kids can think in abstract conceptual ways and develop values that they actually act from until they're older. So what I did here and in the book is I put Kohlberg's stages of moral development next to the areas of the brain that it corresponds to. When kids are little, they're going to get away with it. They're going to do it. We do things out of self-interest and we try to avoid punishment. This is why lying is a very normal developmental stage that kids go through before they realize the effects of that. It's not that they don't have good values, it's just that they're human, and if they see something they want to do, they're going to get away with it, even if it means lying. And so as kids grow and develop, they still want to please adults and be a good boy, good little girl, and they will avoid punishment. Even as teenagers, we will avoid legal punishments. We don't actually start making values-based decisions like social contract, which means I will be nice to you if you're nice to me. Let's have a reciprocal relationship. That's a social contract. But also doing things based on principle because it's the right thing to do. We actually don't start making decisions based upon those things, those higher level values, until our brain is much older and developed. So we have to shape behavior. Now, when it comes to shaping behavior, I want you to remember the number one predictor of adult success is self-control, otherwise known as impulse control when we think about executive functioning skills. I always want you guys to watch this video on YouTube, the marshmallow test out of Stanford University. It's been replicated many times and it has really great results. They gave kids a marshmallow and said, if you just wait for me to come back and don't eat this, you can earn another one. They started that test really, really young to see how young self-control starts. And also they tracked kids over time to find out what happened to the kids who had the best self-control. And here's what we see. Kids who have better self-control on the marshmallow test are more confident, reliant on themselves, they give in less to temptations, they're less immature, they trust their own judgment, less distractible, more motivated, they even have higher SAT scores as kids. Now, as we see as adults, they can pursue long-term goals more easily. They reached higher level goals, they engaged in less risky substance use, had better, more stable relationships, and they actually had stronger pathways in their frontal lobes. But remember, you guys, self-control is an executive functioning skill based upon the brain's rule, use it or lose it. We can start rewarding our kids for good self-control when they're really, really young. Being able to say, oh, you actually controlled yourself. You didn't reach out for that cookie until I told you you could have it. Wow, that was so good. Praise them for self-control very young. And being able to say to kids, Wow, I saw that you were really, really angry, but you did not hit your sister. That was very good improvement. This is the kind of language that you want to teach your kids. Create a family code. For those of you guys who are counselors or social work or coalition members, please contact me. I can teach you guys how to have a family code workshop in your community. Build a family code. It's really, really simple. Make it simple, put it on the wall, refer to it as kids grow. And it sounds like this. We're kind, we're respectful in our family. We wouldn't do that because that's what we believe in. It's very different than stop being so mean. We want to switch our language to be much more rewarding and positive to begin with, and the family code can help you figure that out. Then when you're sitting at dinner, you can refer to the family code as kids are talking about their day. It's a technique that's really very affirming, much, much less shaming than actually kind of viewing kids to death. And remember, family dinners are protective. So start a really good tradition when they're young of eating together. It doesn't have to be a huge big thing, but as kids grow and develop, family dinners start to decrease as kids get more active. But make sure that you keep up certain traditions. Try to hit at least 3 family dinners per week, if not more. And on one day of the week, make sure it's a big deal. Now, this is a big thing for me because I work with a lot of young adults who got everything. They got their cell phones, they got their money, they got so many things growing up, never had to earn anything. And when that happens, when kids just get stuff, what we see is they're more entitled. They have less executive functioning skills. They have lower motivation to go out and get it from themselves, and that leads to low self-efficacy and low self-esteem. These can sometimes be blaming, whining, regress, temper tantrumy adults. The way that we can combat that is let kids earn everything. So I want you to repeat after me. When kids can, they should. When kids can, they should. When kids can, they should. When kids can do their laundry, they should. When kids can earn an allowance for doing chores, they should, right? What we want to do is to create motivation, problem solving, impulse control. When kids say, I really, really, really want this. Oh, well, give me a plan on how you're going to earn to get it. That's what should be happening as our kids grow and develop. No just getting things. Okay, so let me move on to behavior modification. So in my book, I have a blank behavior modification worksheet and a behavior modification sample. So it's always really important to remember that when kids start to consistently break rules, we contract with them all the time verbally, but when it becomes consistent, we need to put it on paper and put it up on the wall. But it should not be punishing and shameful. It should be first the behavior that we expect. RRF, respectful, responsible, and fun to be with. You absolutely can expect that out of your kids. We're not that way all the time, but we expect that out of our adult relationships. So we need to train kids on how to show up. RRF, respectful, responsible, and fun to be with. The earlier you start the fun to be with, the later that will pay off for you when they become a little bit more moody during teenage years, to be able to say, I love you so much, but I tell you, you're not much fun to be with right now. Do you need a hug? Do you need to cuddle? Do you need some time out? What can you do so that I can enjoy my time with you more? They need to be able to hear those social skills training verbal language. Now, your second column in a behavior contract is the rewards, what they can do to earn, and then, of course, what they will do to lose those rewards. Take the word punishment out of your vocabulary. You're not punishing kids. You're giving them rewards and consequences, and we all earn those every day, all day. Be prepared. When you institute a behavior modification contract, the behavior doesn't immediately go down. It goes up. And that freaks parents out a lot of times, and they think, what am I doing wrong? please know that once you're used to getting a cookie every day and somebody says you can't have the cookie today, you're probably going to throw a little temper tantrum too. The psychological term for that is extinction burst. And so you've got to be consistent every day and saying, no cookie, no cookie, no cookie. This is how you can earn a cookie on Saturday. And then what you'll see is slowly over time, the more consistent you are, the more you will shape that behavior. Lots of executive functioning executive functioning building scripts in my book. If you're like not really sure how to shape that particular behavior, don't worry, I've got you covered with some ideas of what it can sound like. Make sure you have the functional family rule verbally said out loud. In our family, we talk, we trust, we deal, we feel. I know you don't want to really talk about that touchy subject, but too bad, kid, because in our family, we talk, we deal. Yes, I don't know, it's hard to feel those feelings, but in our family, we share our feelings, we talk about it. Do you want to do that now or do you want to do it later? One of the ways you can do that is teaching kids how to be emotionally literate, meaning teach them feeling words. I have so many adults today that don't have a lot of feeling words, and they unfortunately then don't know how to label the energy that comes up in their body. You can also use kimochis for the little kids. Everybody buy a bag of kimochis for Christmas or birthday, put them in a bowl, put them at the dinner table. Everybody pass them around and work on emotional regulation through first labeling your emotion and then being able to say, okay, what does that emotion tell you that your body needs or wants? And so, for an instance, if you're hungry, what does your body want and need? Food. If you're angry, what does your body want or need? I need a timeout. I need to go for a run. I need to hit a pillow. If you're sad, what do you want and need? I need a hug, but other kids need to be alone. Teach kids how to be emotionally literate. Step 1, identify your emotions. Step 2, what does this emotion, this energy tell your body that you need or your want? So I want to say one more thing about this before I move on. As a therapist, please know that if you teach your kids how to feel feelings, how to talk about them, they pass naturally. As adults, I see a lot of young adults that use drugs to change how they feel. They use food to change how they feel. They use video games to escape. If we teach our kids how to feel yucky, how to struggle through yuck, they learn a long network of skills in their brain for that skill. And if you're with them consistently right next to them, they know they're going to be okay. All right, you guys, my website, knowyourneuro.org, is the language can be changed. So you can see an interpretation in lots of different languages. I built it for parents, communities, and schools. And so here is what it looks like. This is the front page. You'll notice that there is a topics listing, all the topics that I studied in my book, all the skills, the executive functioning skills. I'm adding more and more videos every month. And if you just want to go by age, all the videos are listed there for age groups. There is a parent page, a family page, a student page, and a schools page. There's a shop, there's a calendar that can help you figure out when the prevention conversation should happen and what you should say. All of that is there for you guys. The parent page looks like this. You can see the prevention program calendar at the top. Lots of different actions that parents can take today if they need some help. Blank contracts are there under shaping behaviors. For students, there's all kinds of information on how to start a group or be an influencer. I've got a video contest there for the prevention song. And then, of course, for schools, the categories are listed in tiers, which is the language that they speak. So lots of national organizations, my favorite resources are listed on each of the pages. And then you guys have an opportunity to share information. If you want to find me through that website, you can. If you can't find what you need there or you have an idea, please let me know how I can help with that. What I'd like to do now is take a pause and have you guys submit your questions. So Michelle, any coming in yet?
Okay, the first one is, What is your recommendation if everybody in the child's life is not consistent?
Uh, as long as a child has one consistent parent in their lives, the research shows that can build resiliency. So and that was kind of my case too. I had a lot of inconsistency in many different places, but I had at least one adult in my life that showed up consistently over time, and it really did help build my resiliency. And so, trying to reach out and see if those people will get some help with you, learn some more things with you. But remember, you can't control what's in somebody else's hula hoop. Really, all you can control is what's inside of your hula hoop. So if you create a connection with a child, remember the saying, correction requires connection. If you create a connection with a child, other people will see that you have that and that type of parenting style. They may even want to model exactly what you're modeling.
I love the one caring adult that hung out with you. That's an incredible story. So
It,
good.
yes.
Um,
Sorry,
okay,
I'm
parent,
jumping ahead here.
okay, that's okay. A parent's asking, what's the best way to shift their parenting style? And this is a really great follow-up question. Do I need to prepare my kids so it doesn't shock them?
Yes, best thing to do. I mean, think about you. Before something changes in your life, don't you want to know? And remember
Sure.
that, the two things that adults, or sorry, I should say, two things that humans hate the most. One is change, and two, the way things are. We don't like to change, but we also like to change stuff up. So sit kids down and say, I've been yelling at you a lot, and I'm going to try really hard to stop doing that. But you may have gotten used to that. And so I just wanted to give you a heads up. Or I've been used to giving you lots of stuff, and I realize that's not the healthiest way to parent you. And so that may really irritate you when I ask you to earn things. And so remember the extinction burst. They are more likely to agree or comply if you are able to give them a heads up and work with them on it.
Yeah, and probably get some feedback along the way, like just keep that conversation going about how it feels, if it works for both ways, and just keep talking about it. It's so
And
good.
Michelle, you probably can attest to this. One of the most beautiful things that you can do for a kid is apologize to them. I hear a
Hmm.
lot of kids say, "Oh, my dad never apologizes." And it really leaves kids feeling unvalidated or invalidated. And so being able to say, "You know what? I ruptured the relationship. I'm so sorry that I did that." Being able to honestly own your part is one of the best models of responsible, healthy relationship behavior that you can do. And it's healing and validating for kids.
So beautiful. I think some of our most best recovery days have been when we say, let's just restart, let's just pause all this, let's just restart.
Yep. And literally, what you're doing is restarting your limbic system. You're calming it down, turning the brakes back on your frontal lobe, and having your brain work together to do over.
Hmm. Um, which two parenting styles do you think have a higher risk of substance use or misuse?
So the highest risk are the neglectful or the uninvolved. But the second highest are authoritarian and permissive. They have equal rates of risky behavior in engaging with it. The healthiest, obviously, is the authoritative. But I thought that was the most interesting research that Baumrind did about parenting styles. And you'll see the literature out there that really validates this is that humans need a balance of love and limits. We need a balance of warmth, affection, and discipline. I heard a speaker once say that the rules of adolescence are the rules are the swaddling of adolescence. Like, when you first have a baby and the nurse teaches you how to swaddle, you're like, oh my God, that's too tight. And then you realize, no, 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 they're used to that pressure. It feels good to have boundaries, to have limits, to know where you start and stop. It's the same for teenagers. They need to have that boundary and then limit. Now, the limbic system doesn't want it, and they think it's really cool when they see other parents who don't have it. But they grow out of that thought when they realize that people who are permissive with their kids don't have enough guts, assertiveness, or skills to be able to set boundaries and limits. And a lot of times, what I hear is they will justify it. Oh, well, they don't need it. They're good kids. But in the end, kids feel that lack of parenting. They may not be able to verbalize what that experience is like for them, but it can have really negative effects when parents don't set boundaries and limits.
There's been a couple of times when we were dreading as parents saying the no. We knew we were getting there, we needed to say it, we were dreading it. And then there was almost a sense of relief on their end because they wanted the no as much as they were pushing for the yes once we got to the no. And
Yes.
it's just fascinating because it was almost like relief. Like, okay, they were like, all right, I wanted to impulsively maybe do that, but I'm glad you said no.
I hear that in therapy. Kids won't ever tell their parents this, but they will say to me, "Oh my God, I'm so glad my parents said no to me going to that party because I knew I was going to get in trouble." Or there was somebody there, they don't have the impulse control or the assertiveness skills to actually say no on their own yet. They need us to jump in and be their frontal lobes until they fully grow one of their own.
100%. Yes. Um, so this is an even more serious question, but a teen with attachment issues due to excessive trauma. Is there a way to move or progress the attachment style from disorganized to secure, or what can you do in the
Absolutely.
middle there?
Oh gosh, no, absolutely. If they're a teen, they're old enough to learn about attachment styles. They're old enough to have that conversation with you. One of my favorite books for this is called Attached by Amir Levine. It's a really great book because it has different attachment style quizzes. And to be able to say, hey, I get that you have maybe an insecure attachment because of trauma, but let's figure out how to create healthy, secure attachments in life. What do people who are securely attached to each other do? What do they sound like? That's why I put those columns, the tables in the presentation, so you could see what it literally sounds like coming out of our mouths when we say and do things that are aligned with a specific attachment style.
Okay, that's amazing. Amanda, did you happen to see one more question in the queue? I was able to work through what I saw before we went and pulled the cameras up. And while Amanda's looking to see if we have one or two more questions, we did a social media giveaway in advance, and so we wanted to let the winner know. Hopefully, they're with us today. We've got a quite very large audience, but the winner for the social media drawing is The Place from Norwich, New York. So we'll be happy to send you both a copy of Dr. Coyer's new book as well as the Operation Parent Elementary edition. And
Yay!
then secondly, we've got this giveaway going that we're going to give a copy of each away twice to those that are here with us till the very end. So you need to put your name and your full email address as well as your full mailing address. And we'll pick the winners right at the close of the webinar and get those two books in the mail right away.
Oh, there's all of the books. So there's the kids book K through 2, the grade 3 through 5. There's the QR for the Neuro Whereabouts Guide English, Spanish, and then I have a workbook for family of origin work. So if you're interested in kind of a deep dive into how your brain was wired and developed as a kid, good, bad, and ugly, what's working, what's not working, this is a really great workbook that can help you do that. I actually do family of origin mapping in my practice, and I've been training interns for years, and I had a great intern who said, you should write a workbook for everybody to do this. And so I did, and I also read this out loud too. So if you want to be talked through it on Audible, it's available for you. I highly recommend seeing a good therapist though that can help you work through it. Oh, there's my information. It says take a photo of this slide. So here are links to a couple of the other presentations that I've done for Operation Parent that are on the website. I've got a lot of people who use this for their parent groups. There's my email address if you'd like to subscribe to my newsletter so that you know when all the Know Your Neuro series is out, or different things that drop on Know Your Neuro. And then I think it might be the next slide. Yes, it's this one. I was telling Michelle that I have a parent handbook, an Operation Parent handbook that's in the waiting room of my office. And I all the time walk out to go grab my clients, and I see somebody reading that handbook in my lobby, which makes me really, really happy.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much for doing that. We hear the same thing from school, the front office at many schools. They'll do the same thing, put it out on the foyer while parents are waiting. So thank you so much. That's incredible. So we just want to let folks know a little bit more about the Operation Parent Handbook. It is available at operationparent.org/store. It's a very affordable prevention resource that we hope every family has in their home. $14.99 for the middle and high edition, and then only $9.99 for the elementary edition. It's available, as we've talked a lot about today, the elementary version, but the middle and high is on its ninth run. It's a ninth edition of the middle and high, so it's constantly updated and has very current information in it. And we also have Spanish editions in our handbook. So we hope that you'll go over to the store and check those out. They are available for purchase right now, so you can go check them out. We also have TNT, and this is our newest program. And this is a toolkit. It's basically like a full program in a box that comes to you that you can utilize at your church, your school. It's great for middle school age kids, and it teaches them drug facts as well as what we've talked a lot about, drug refusal skills. And so this is our, what we call it, TNT, and that stands for Trends in Training, and everything you would need to do is fully available. The advertising, everything is thought through. The banner, the t-shirts, the bracelets. If you use the QR code, you can also go to our landing page and check out a video to learn a little bit more about our newest drug prevention event that is ready and ready to go and truly amazing. I hope that you'll also just take a minute and join us on our social media pages if you haven't already. Our handle is at Operation Parent across all of our platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And we'd love to have you join us there. Amanda's doing an amazing job with our social media, and she is adding some daily tips and things up there for parents and for drug-free communities and other folks that you can share in your communities to help parents think about things, just quick and easy things of ways that you can ramp up the prevention in your own home. So as we mentioned in the beginning, we are a 501c3 organization, and we work hard to bring our webinars to you. We offer free webinars and free shipping as a part of our work as a nonprofit. We're so passionate about getting prevention information out to more parents, as I know you are, Dr. Coyer, and all the work that you're trailblazing and doing across the country too. So we just hope that you'll join us in whatever way is appropriate. If you'd like to donate, join us on our social media, join us on our next webinar with Dr. Danielle Dick from Rutgers University. We just hope that you'll stick with us for this prevention journey and that we can make a difference together. So we want to thank you all for being with us. It was another great large audience again, Dr. Coyer, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time, as well as everyone in the audience. So thanks so
Wonderful.
much.
Yes. Thanks for coming, you guys.
Thanks, you all. We'll see you soon.